Hey, course 3. Today's some basic algebra we're working through. If we've done it before, it was later in the year, so it might be just a little bit less comfortable or familiar. There's a few lessons where, okay, I don't think it's complicated. It might be unfamiliar, might take a little bit to get the hang of it, but it's so important as far as building a foundation for next year in algebra that we just really want to be able to follow it and take good note of it. Today's one of those lessons. To the left here, you have something really important in algebra we call an equation. Okay, and an equation is called that because you see the word equals in there. We're setting value 1 for x equal to value 2, which is 20, right? So in an equation, we can solve by figuring out what is this missing number. Now, you learn missing number problems. This is a missing number multiplication problem. Find the factor. To find the known factor, we divide the product by the other known factor, so we would know x is 5. Another way to think about it is, I have 4 times x here. So what's the opposite of times? It's divide. I divide by the number to get the x by itself. I get rid of the number, but I have to do to one as I do to the other. If I do it to the left side, I have to do it to the right side. So what's 20 divided by 4? It's 5. We like to work vertically with our algebra. Now, we could also talk about evaluating in what's called a formula. A formula might say F is ma. It's sort of an equation. We're setting, force equal to mass times acceleration. Okay, but what if, to evaluate, I might not need to find an unknown. I might just have the data. Well, if the mass is 2 and the acceleration is 6, evaluate, which simply means substitute in the numbers. Okay, mass times acceleration is 12. So force is 12. When I evaluate, or when I substitute in numbers, I like to put in parentheses where I'm going to insert values. I know m, so I put parentheses. I know a, I put in parentheses. And then I use these to fill in these gaps, okay? And I know parentheses next to each other means times. So other terms we want to get familiar with, the letters and the numbers. Okay, this letter we call a variable because it can vary, meaning it can have different values depending on what, these numbers are. And those numbers are called constants. These are called constants because they're constantly the same value. 3 is always 3. 20 is 20, right? So it's a constant. To solve this equation, we're not going to evaluate because I'm not going to tell you what m is worth. We're just going to solve because we only have one unknown. As long as we have everything else but one unknown figured, we can solve. Now, kind of different from order of operations. Instead of dealing with the multiplication thing going on here first, we actually want to jump over to deal with this. Okay? If you've got something added to this term, we want to deal with this first, then the second. So first, we do whatever is the opposite of plus, which is minus. Same value so that I can get rid of it and have just the 3m left. Just the 3m left. See what I did there? But again, we have to do to the left, got to do the same thing to the right. It's like a scale. It's got to stay balanced. 20 minus 2 is 18. 18. Now we're to something kind of like when we did this one here earlier. 3m is really 3 times m. What's the opposite of times? Divide by this amount. Divide by 3 so that we get rid of the 3's. Have just the m left, which is what we've been aiming for. Find out what m is worth. Oh, can't just drop the 18 though. Got to do the same thing. Divided by 3 is 6. How could I check that answer? I could put it back into what I'm saying it's worth, which is this m. And I would go 3 times m is 6. Add the 2, it should be 20. Is that true? If so, I got the right answer. 18 plus 2 is 20. 18 plus 2 is 20. Good. Okay, so we've evaluated in equations using constants and variables, substitution of values. Letter A uses a formula. A is BH. What's that stand for? Area is base times height. Okay, what's our shape here? Got a parallelogram. The height is 4. The base is 12. So we use our formula. We don't have to know anything else. They've already told us A equals BH. Okay? Which two did they give us? They gave us base and height is going to be the unknown, which is A. All right, so fill in the numbers. Base is 12. Height is 4. Put it in. This is times, so area is 12 times 4, which is 48. According to the formula, the area of the parallelogram is 48 inches squared. I want you to answer letter B and C, D and F, H and J. Those 6. Really important. Hope it goes well. Best of luck.